I'll be very honest with you folks. I really wanted to drop a video regarding this very tragic situation up in Minneapolis yesterday afternoon sometime. But I thought to myself, you know what? Take a breath, relax, let it simmer for another day, and see if people can come to the realization of what's really going on their own. Well, somebody came close, somebody here in Florida, but it's still not quite the right explanation. Folks, there's something going on here that people aren't seeing. And what it boils down to is something that's going to surprise you. What if I told you it's just a rehashing of the story of the woman and the bear? Florida Marquis, what are you talking about? How many of you remember it was about a year ago? It came out that there was a poll that liberal women, if they were lost hiking in the wilderness, would rather encounter a wild grizzly bear than some strange man they didn't know. They have more fear of the strange man, somebody they could talk to, somebody they could relate to and say, or possibly, use as some kind of an aid to not be lost anymore, as opposed to a grizzly bear, which would likely just eat them for being there. It was a very strange thing. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, Florida Marquis, what does that have to do with this? Wait until I show you the parallel. The reality is this: whether you're left or whether you're right, the vast majority of people in America fear the government more than they fear any one random, quote unquote, illegal criminal. Meaning, if you were walking down the street in the middle of the night and you came around a corner and there was a lone person there, perhaps of Hispanic origin, that looked like they might not be from here, maybe didn't speak any English, or it was some government or group of government thugs, who would you feel safer with? You see, that's the argument. Criminals don't obey laws. Let me ask you a question. Let's see if I can find the right... Oh, here we go. The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." How many of you heard the FBI director say that Americans don't need to have it in their minds that they can just carry a weapon anywhere near some kind of a protest? How many of you heard that? How many of you were shocked to hear that? George Washington: a free people ought not only to be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who might attempt to abuse them, which would include their own government. George Washington. A government big enough to give you everything you want, meaning an immigrant-free society, is big enough to take everything from you. Barry Goldwater. The list goes on and on. Hey, all of you out there so super excited about, all you Hispanics, all you Venezuelans out there in the sound of my voice, that are super excited now that the government is running your country, you ought to pay attention. You ought to pay attention to this real close, folks. Because anybody who knows anything about grizzly bears, the government, knows that regardless of how many flaws you may find in that man, ladies, he's a better bet than the grizzly bear. So when you look at this, people, and you see the government doing what they're doing, it isn't about this specific situation. It isn't about the specific situation here, or Alex Preddy, or whether he had this in his hand or that in his hand, or whether this, that, or the other. This is about government believing it can do whatever the hell it wants, whenever the hell it wants, under whatever circumstances it wants. It doesn't matter whether Trump's in charge, Obama's in charge, or anyone else in the future's in charge. Now, real quick, 4 minutes in, as always, Florida Marquis, you're only doing videos every few days. Why? Well, I'm basically a Patreon channel now. That's where the nuts and the bolts of psychological operations are located. If you want to be able to use your mind in this way, in a way that is free from the emotional influences of Fox and CNN and X and all the different posts that say, oh, you should be outraged because of blah, 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 or outraged because of blah, 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 that. That's your first warning. They're trying to get you emotional. Now, someone in Florida almost got this right. Believe it or not, it's the bikini model. That's right. How many of you knew that there was a representative in Congress who was a former stripper and a bikini model from here in Florida? Her name's Representative Anna Paulina Luna. Quote, 6 hours ago, we're witnessing a national reality break where half the country is openly siding with criminal illegal aliens over American citizens and the enforcement of federal law. They're fighting against their own safety, sovereignty, and self-interest. Really? Our safety, sovereignty, and self-interest comes from the federal government killing people? But the last line that she says, it's pure cognitive dissonance. You see, Representative Anna Paulina Luna just gave up the truth. The only people suffering from cognitive dissonance are the government. The people in the government. Because they have a belief that they're the good guys. They have a belief that they're the good guys, and now the facts on the ground prove that they're not. That they're hated and loathed and mistrusted by all of the American people. Every 4 years, you get a little bit more hate, distrust, and loathing out of one group or another. But mark my words, we, the American people, are far more fearful of the government destroying our lives than we are of any one random criminal, especially if their only criminal act is the fact that they're existing on the wrong side of some line that was written on a map hundreds of years ago. Cognitive dissonance. Sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong, usually emotionally attached to it. When they are presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It would create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable, called cognitive dissonance. And because it is so important to protect the core belief, the emotional attachment, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit in with the core belief. I'm going to say it again. In fact, down in the comments section, I want somebody to tell me that they believe Washington, D.C. is their friend. I'm not saying Trump's Washington, D.C. I'm not saying Obama's Washington, D.C. or Clinton's Washington, D.C. Or Biden. I'm saying D.C. in general. That these alphabet agencies have the best in mind for the American people. That's their first driving goal. Is they want to make America safer. They want to make America better for the average Joe. That you really believe that. Believing morality is objective. Authoritarian left, authoritarian right. Who remembers that idea? Authoritarian left and authoritarian right, where all you do is fight and argue. All you do is fight and argue over which arm of the federal government you want to be punched the least hard with. You see, a lot of people think PSYOPs is this. You will obey me. You will obey me. No. PSYOPs is about making you believe that what you're doing was your own idea to begin with. Concepts like proof surrogate. It's simply a claim that is so serious and so intense that it masquerades as proof or evidence when no such proof or evidence is actually being offered. Like in the case up here, that this guy was somehow had it born in intent simply by being armed. We now ascribe the intent to do mass bodily harm. Simply by being armed at a protest, simply for that fact alone, that now gives the U.S. government the ability to ascribe intent to do harm. How many of you out there on the right are comfortable with that? Shifting the burden of proof, making a claim that needs justification, then demanding that the opponent justifies the opposite of the claim. What is this? Well, if you're going to have a gun and you're going to be near to protest, you're going to need to give us some kind of proof that you're not going to use that gun in any way, shape, or form. Just wait. You just wait, folks. This is what's coming. Let's see if I have any more bangers here. Do you know how big a hero this guy would be? Do you know how big a hero this guy would be in Washington, D.C. if he got comprehensive gun control back on the ticket here? Based on this? See, politics makes for strange bedfellows. Those who hate him now because of ICE and all this, he could come out and say, well, the man shouldn't have had a gun. And there are people on the left who are like, you know what? Gosh, we have an opportunity here. Yes, you're right, Mr. President. You're right. He shouldn't have had a gun. He shouldn't have had a gun. And then the people on the right are like, wait a minute. What just happened? What just happened? How did we get to support? He shouldn't have had a gun, and my First Amendment and my Second Amendment can't be. Wait, that's not right. Hold on. But Trump is always right. And he's just trying to protect me. And see what they did? See how they did that? Criminals do not obey laws. When you finally realize it's always all about them, it's always all about them, you'll have one of those wake-up moments. Ladies, if you're one of these people out there who really, truly believes that you would rather encounter a man than some guy, rather encounter a bear, than some man out for a hike, some man out in the woods just trying to get the hell away from it all, if you really think that, you really need to take a minute. You need to take a minute and reassess your value systems. Because, are men perfect? No, neither are women. This has always been the concept. You see, the idea of the woman believing that she's right. She's always right. No matter what she wants to do, it's going to be right. And anything the man might do that would be contradictory would automatically be wrong. So the bear, being this neutral thing with the inability to think and just act, would then be susceptible to her and her righteousness. And if she were to be eaten by the bear, then of course that would be some just natural chain of events. It's just unreal. The people that are right now online worshiping what the federal government just did to a citizen. What the federal government just did to a citizen is exactly what a bear would do to a woman. Or, to be fair, a man. But at least a man realizes this. A man, there's no man in the world that would say, I would rather encounter a grizzly bear than a woman. I don't care if I was completely unarmed and only had a loincloth on and she was carrying an AR-15 and had a pack, and let's say there were 5 armed women. I would much rather encounter the 5 armed women than the one grizzly bear. I don't care if they were all man-haters. I'd be like, yep, I agree that some men, can make you believe that, but at least I'd have the ability to reason at some level. You can't reason with a grizzly bear. And the grizzly bear in this entire conversation is an analog of the federal government. The bear never has your best interest in mind. Under any circumstances, it is protect my cubs, fill my belly, take care of my territory. And you are an intruder. You are there to service it. It is the apex predator in the region. People need to wake up. See, it doesn't matter individually here what the issue was. Whether this guy was a bonehead or that guy was a bonehead isn't the issue. That the federal government believes it can do this kind of thing and have it done with impunity. This guy comes running over with guns blazing and somebody takes him out. That's one thing. That's one thing. That's the government trying to protect people. But that's not what happened here. Even in the worst case scenario, where there's some proof that the man somehow got a hold of his own weapon, he was doing it to defend himself from masked armed thugs. So, just saying, Ruby Ridge, Waco, the list goes on and on. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Hey, love to have you, Florida Monkey Patreon channel. Truly, love to have you over there. 4 levels. Whatever God puts on your heart. Fully refundable first 90 days. No questions asked. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.